I'm Nando, I'm an illustrator and graphical artist. I also work with web design during the day. And how are you guys doing? Welcome to the channel. Today's Friday, and I really think each one of you should do a zine. And why is that? Well, I will explain in this video, but firstly, just a brief explanation. This is kind of a new stage in my channel, so I'm seeing this in a kind of like new stage of my career and of my art journey. Well, okay, I really think you should do a zine. And why is that? Well, firstly, because zines are really cool and I'd like to have more of them. But actually, what is a zine? A zine is something like this. It's a little magazine. This one is mine. It's the first one I've made. It's the only one I actually released at the time I'm recording this video, but I plan to release some more. Well, anyways, a zine is a 100% independent magazine or booklet or book that you can do yourself without anybody's permission and with a really low budget. You have all the permission to do it shitty. Sometimes shitty made zines are the best. And this is kind of the magical thing about zines. You can do anything you want with it. It's a really cool outlet for new artists to try out. It'll give you a lot of experience in diagramming, maybe writing scripts, illustration, of course, design. You can do small comics, of course, I have some of them. There is this magical thing about just being able to do anything you want. In the last few years, I just try to go by as an artist and grab any sort of work I could because, well, it's been a tough couple of years we all had. I kind of felt drained because all I would do is like stuff that didn't felt like I wanted to do it, but I had to. Doing ads for brands and companies that I found very questionable. This was when I found about zines. Like, I knew about it before, but it never came to me that I could maybe try it out. And this is how I've done the Cyberpunk zine, number 1. I love cyberpunk stories. I would just do whatever I wanted with it. Like, I want to write a story, so let's make it short so it can fit in a small booklet that I can print. So I started to write stories about this nameless character that is a journalist, and he would just tell stories of things that happens around the city. So I just picked my city. I live in São Paulo, which is one of the biggest cities in the world. It's a huge metropolis, and I thought, well, how is it gonna be in like 100 years in the future, 200 years? And I started to write stories, like these short articles of weird stuff that would happen in this São Paulo of the future. And since I'm an illustrator, I have this thing where I love illustrated books, so I started to do small illustrations for each story. This page, this spread, I'm actually very proud of it. I like it very much. This one is I'm very proud too. And I would never be able to do this in a like official publishing company because publishing companies play very safe. They have to be profitable, and to be profitable, they can't just earn money. They have to earn as much money as possible. So that can be very limiting. For artists nowadays, it's very difficult to find your own space. My solution for that, for my personal career / journey, is to say, fuck it, I'll just skip the middleman and I'll do everything independent. It's hard, but I managed to do stuff that would never fly in a official publishing setting. I'm gonna level with you guys. I want to talk about the history of zines, but I don't remember everything I feel like I should. So I'm gonna stop a little bit, watch a small documentary on YouTube about it, and then I'll tell you guys about the history of zines. Be right back. Hey there, it's Editing Nando at 1 a.m. I actually forgot like a doofus to do the whole spiel. Are you actually liking the video? If you are, I'd highly suggest you to like and subscribe, because odds are that if you liked it and you don't, you will probably never ever be suggested anything from me ever again. And I'm actually growing my beard again. It's usually a lot longer, and you can follow my progress. Also, I'd really enjoy if you guys could comment on the video, because I'm actually trying something really new. This is completely different. I honestly, genuinely could use the feedback. Anyways, this is toasted bread and jam. I don't remember the flavor. It's sugary. Well, I'm back. Well, first thing of all, zines are kind of this new thing. They have been around for about 200, 300 years. Just a little time. The early history of zines is very hazy, because it's kind of difficult to really define if certain pamphlets or publications were zines, but a lot of them were used for political activism, like the first wave of feminists. If I'm not mistaken, even Benjamin Franklin published one. So the concept has been around for a long time, but it only caught up during the 30s, when a lot of authors would send letters with stories to these small publishers to kind of have this head start on their writing careers. A lot of writers started like this. Actually, something really funny if you think about it. Superman actually started in a zine. Yes, before DC Comics actually made Superman, there was this zine called The Reign of Superman. It was published by Science Fiction, The Advance Guard of Future Civilization, number 3. H.P. Lovecraft also started with zines. At the time, you have to understand that it isn't easy to publish something. Just because we have freedom of press in Western civilization doesn't mean you can print anything. You will only get printed if someone who owns a printing company think it's worth it. Or you could pay them to do it, but have you ever met any artists or writers? We're usually broke. So with all of that said, it's not surprising that the punk movement just love zines. And I mean, what's more punk than a zine? You can just say whatever you want. It's absolute freedom. You can rebel as much as you want. You can engage politically. You can say just nonsense that offends people. You can criticize people that are kind of untouchable. And I mean, if you want to be naughty, you don't have to put your name in the zine. You can just do it, print it, distribute it, and if anybody gets offended by it, you're like, well, I'm not the one that did it. Nobody has to know. That's a tip. You can actually do something really devilish with it. And things only caught on. And I mean, in the 70s, printing technology became just much more accessible. Computers were still very rare and very expensive, but most universities at the time had at least one printer and maybe a Xerox machine and one or two computers that you could do a layout and print it. Really cheap, which explains why the most common format on zines are actually A4s that you just print, fold it in half and staple it. I've done it on my own, and you can do that really cheap, especially because zines are usually very long. I actually started the book I'm writing as a zine, but when I noticed it, I had more than 40 pages, I was like, yeah, I don't think this is a zine anymore. I think this is a book. So because of that, I think I can say with confidence that zines are not only a tool for freedom of expression, but it has actually helped us to make society better. Which is why I'm baffled that a lot of young people doesn't know anything about zines. Like, some don't even know it exists. It's not something that you can just do. And maybe there's a reason for that. Governments don't like this sort of shit. Nowadays I feel like the internet just have revolutionized zines, because the difficult part in the old days wasn't really doing the zine and printing it. It was distribution. You had to like share with people hand to hand. There was even these groups that would collect zines and trade with each other like they were magic cards, which actually sounds kind of fun. People are still making those. There is the World Building magazine, which is amazing. I almost became one of the illustrators on their team. I technically am, but at the time that I joined the team, there was this whole thing where all the founder members kind of left, so it's kind of in limbo. If you go to Reddit and search for the Zine subreddit, you get like this huge wealth of possibilities. You can find a lot of those also on itch.io. There is a lot of creativity. Due to the nature of the medium, zines never really get super popular. I mean, a lot of magazines actually started as zines, and that's part of the charm. So okay, I talked a lot about zines. You're actually interested. How do you start? I can give you some ideas. Well, you can do short comics. Those are great. You can, let's say you have a hobby or something really oddly specific that you're really interested on. You can just write about it and design some layout on the PC and print it. Maybe you are kind of like me, that you like to write stories, and you can just write short stories and draw stuff about them. That can be cool. You can be totally experimental. A lot of people just do scrapbooking and a lot of collage and just putting there. If you're an illustrator like me, you can like, okay, 10 pages, I'm just gonna make an art book. You can just put your stuff in there. You can make travel diaries. Those can be interesting. I love urban sketching. I might do a video talking about it later. Maybe you could do an urban sketching diary. That could be really cool. Man, it's just infinite possibilities. And how can you do it? Well, I'm gonna give you the classic recipe. Do it black and white, basic. You can do color, but black and white is simpler. Go to the printer, print the pages, fold it in half, and staple them. You have a zine. Some people also fold them, like in these small squares. I don't have one of those with me, but I've seen them. They are actually really cute sometimes. Well, software. Okay, how do you make those? I don't do zines by hand, so there's probably someone else that can give you some tips about that. But okay, image editing. You can just use Photoshop or whatever software you want. I love using Krita. For actually doing the layout of the zine, you can use InDesign. It's actually really easy to use. But I personally am a Linux user, so I use Scribus. In this case, it's completely free. It works wonders. You probably can do it in Adobe Illustrator too, or Inkscape, but I think it's too much of a hassle to use those softwares for that. I think like use Scribus. It's just easier, and it's kind of like that. And you print it. The only thing that I'm gonna like give you a heads up, if you want to print it like a booklet like that, you have to order the pages, because if you just print like page 1, page 2, page 3, when you fold it in half, all the pages will be out of order. I've done that a couple of times, and it's kind of a hassle to do it. It's not hard, but it's hard to find on the internet how to do it. I might make a video about how to actually make zines later on, so I can teach you how to do this. So just Google it. Just search for how to order pages in booklet format. That's it. And I think I told everything I wanted. This is, as I said, this is kind of a new stage on my YouTube channel / art journey. So I try new things. I want my videos to be simpler. I want them to be faster and easier to edit. I just want to talk about things that I think it's cool. I don't really care about the views or being famous. I mean, it's kind of boring if nobody watches it. But as long as I have a small following, I think I'm completely fine with it. Anyways, next time you see me, I'll probably be shaven because I don't like this look. And that's it. Bye.